guys, this week we are talking about how to solve Punnett squares. Okay, so we're going to do this in 5 easy steps. At the beginning, it's always very important to read the problem. So in this problem, green peas are dominant to yellow peas in pea plants. A heterozygous pea plant is crossed with a homozygous dominant pea plant. What is the chance that the offspring will be green? So right off the bat, we can pull out some really important words. Heterozygous, homozygous dominant are 2 keywords that we're going to need later on. Okay, so when you start, the first thing that you should always do is write down the alleles. Remember that the alleles are the one letter of the genotype. So they're one possible trait that could be seen in the offspring. So this problem is really nice because it gives you the alleles already. And they are big G and little g. So big G is going to stand for green. And little g is going to stand for yellow. I got this out of the problem where it said green peas are dominant to yellow peas. Even if those G's weren't there in parentheses, I would know that big G should be for green because green is dominant. So use the letter of the dominant term. All right, next is step 2. You're going to set up a table to keep you organized of genotypes and phenotypes. So remember, genotypes are the 2 letters, the 2 alleles that the offspring or the parent has, and the phenotype is how it looks. The term is going to be homozygous recessive, homozygous dominant, or heterozygous. So I like to do this always in the same order. The possible combinations that you could get of genotypes are big G, big G, big G, little g, or 2 little g's. The phenotype for a big G plant would be green. That's how it would look. For a big G, little g plant, it would also look green because the big G masks the little g. And if there's 2 recessive little g's, the phenotype would be yellow. For your terms, the 2 big G's is homozygous dominant. The big G, little g is heterozygous because there's 2 different letters. And the 2 little g's is homozygous recessive. All right, the next step is to find the parent genotypes. If you've done the table in step 2, then it's really easy because you can just use your table to pull out what the parents are. So in our situation, the parents are a heterozygous pea plant and a homozygous dominant pea plant. So as we saw in our table, the heterozygous pea plant is going to be big G, little g, and the homozygous dominant pea plant is going to be 2 big G's. And you could just refer back to your chart right here to find those. So your heterozygous plant, here's your letters, and your homozygous dominant pea plant, here's your letters. Step 4 is actually setting up and solving the Punnett square. So we know our 2 parents are big G, little g, and big G, big G. So we're going to put our parents on the side and on the top of the Punnett square. So parent 1, I'm going to write in green. That's going to be big G, little g. And parent 2, I'm going to write in blue. That's big G, big G. So as you're filling this in, what happens is that you take the letter from above and the letter to the left. So for example, in this box, you would have big G and big G, because this G right here came over and this G right here came down. So I'm going to fill in the rest of our boxes. Oops. One thing that it's important to note, I'm going to show you, is that normally the recessive G is written second. So I've done it both ways here so that you can see this box and this box mean the same thing. It will still be a green pea plant, but it's always written this way. So always write your capital letter first and not your lowercase letter first. One other thing that's important is that if I had put the two big G's on the top and the big G and the little g on the side, it still would be the same Punnett square. Okay, the final step is to answer the question. So I've put a small version of our square down here. You're going to find your percents of your genotypes and phenotypes. For your genotypes, we have two squares here and here that are homozygous dominant. That's big G. 2 out of 4 is 50%. Same thing for heterozygous genotypes, big G, little g, also 50%. And finally, we don't have any squares that are showing the homozygous recessive genotype, and so that's 0%. Now we're going to do our phenotypes, which is what it looks like. This is pheno. And we see that based on your chart that you did in step 2, all of these are going to show the dominant phenotype because they have at least one big G. So there is a 100% chance that the offspring of these two plants will have green peas and a 0% chance that there will be yellow peas. And our question was asking, what's the chance that the offspring will be green? So the final answer would be 100%. All of the offspring will be green. Now pause your video and try this practice problem. When you're done, press play and see if you got the answer correct. Okay, so I have gone ahead and filled out the chart for you. Go ahead and check your own. And then we're going to do the square together. So I'm going to put the first parent, which is heterozygous, right here. I got that out of the problem here, heterozygous red flower, and a white flower, which is 2 little r's. And I'm going to fill in my square. Oops, I want that to be green. So we have big R, and then this is going to be little r's. And then your blue genes from the other parent are all going to be little r's. Step 5 is to find your percents and answer the question. The question was asking what percent of the flowers will be red. So red is the dominant trait. So the offspring that will be red are the ones that have a big R. That's 2 out of 4, which is 50%. All right, that's it for this week. Don't forget to do your Canvas post and check back next week for another video.